brand new episode of the Replayables. You recognize these guys, but you know what? I'm going to go around and I'm going to introduce everybody, and you're going to be able to guess what game we're covering based on these introductions. Starting first, this man has the smarts of a Mewtwo with the optimism of a Slowpoke. It's George. Welcome back.
I thought that was going to be Tony.
Yeah, no. I've got a good one. Tony's fits him even more.
Oh,
but yeah,
no.
welcome back, George. We got some good feedback on the Portal podcast, so it was good. So next on my left, he has the eyes of a Jigglypuff with the toenails of a Sandshrew. Welcome back, Tony.
Well, thank you for having me back. It's been a little while. I'm glad to return.
Yeah, you were on our first 2 episodes. You really carried us, and now you've circled back, and you're here to do. I should do myself. I have the biceps of a Poliwhirl with the wit of a Psyduck. There we go. That's
I'd at least give you the biceps of him a chop. I mean, you're a little yoked.
That's right. Or like a Nidoking. A Nidoking has like when Nidoking flexes there. I know. If you haven't been able to guess, we are doing Gen 1 of Pokemon. So we're going to be covering blue, red, and yellow in the States, or if you only play the Japanese version, it was green, red, and yellow. I don't know why they did green and red in Japan, but it became blue and red here in America. So we're gonna start with the man with the optimism of a Slowpoke. George, I want you to take me back to where you were the first time you played Pokemon. How'd you get it? How'd you find out about it? Everything.
Yeah, so I never had the brick. I got a Game Boy Pocket, and let's say I think it was like 6th, maybe 5th grade. But 6th grade was full of me playing Pokemon Blue obsessively. I played it so much the battery expired. And then I tried to beat it in one sitting because the battery only lasted like 8 hours, and you could almost blitz it in 8 hours. I was distraught too. We had to call the Pokemon hotline. And
wow.
I distinctly remember this. You call up and they're like, hey, do you need help finding an HM like cut or surf? I'm like, no, it's broken.
Did you have to pay for the hotline, or was it free?
It was free.
Okay.
And that was option 1. Option 2 was, do you need to find an advanced HM like strength? And I'm like, God, no.
So you were in on it from pretty early. That's good to hear. Tony, I bet you have quite the history with Pokemon. Talk to me a little bit about when you first played it. Was it on the original black and white Game Boy?
Yeah, I had a Pocket as well. It was my first Game Boy. I think I got it for Christmas of either 98 or it's probably 98 or 97. We got the Game Boy Pockets, and my sister and I, of course, we were close enough in age. We both got a Pokemon. So I got red and she got blue because of that. So it was like, oh, you're going to have trading between them. You have to have 2. And it was like hours and hours playing the game. We'd go to family events. It was like, can we bring our Game Boys? Can we play in the car? Can we play right in there? We had the little tiny lights that we could play under. It was like this thing consumed our lives for endless amounts. I was burning through AA batteries every single week.
Yeah.
And like my dad got so mad at me. He's like, here, just take this plug. It plugs into the bottom of the Game Boy so you can stop chewing up all my AA batteries.
And you're like, Dad, have you ever heard of a Game Gear? I'm doing right by us.
Yeah.
So
what color was your Game Boy
Pocket? Your sister
Pocket?
both had it. Oops.
I had a green Game Boy Pocket, obviously.
Yeah, I had forest green Game Boy Pocket.
Yep.
Still have it.
Nice. I had the brick. I never had a Game Boy Pocket. I never had another Game Boy until the Game Boy Advance. So I had the original brick that I had to go into my closet and dig out because, and we're going to talk about this later, but this game launches a decade after the Game Boy comes out, right? It's crazy late in the lifespan. So dig it out. Mutual friend Hayes was also buying it. So I bought blue, he bought red, so we could trade the Pokemon that were there. And we had a serious discussion about which starter Pokemon we were going to do. This is a good time where we can kind of talk about which starter Pokemon we got and what our logic was. So my friend decided he was going Charmander either way. So I'm looking through the other 2, and I picked Bulbasaur because I thought he looked cooler. Didn't know he was going to be the weakest of the 3. Well, in the lore, I feel like Charmander and Squirtle get glazed all day long. But George, what was your first Pokemon, and how much thought went into what you started with?
I don't even know if I truly remember. Well, because I played the game so many times, especially, having the battery die and restarting it. But I mean, if I had to pick now, I'd pick Squirtle. hands down.
You look like a member of Squirtle Squad. So would
Mhm.
you say like through all your playthroughs, you've kind of cycled through a lot? Like you kind of pick a new starter Pokemon each time?
And I can tell you that when I started Pokemon Y, I picked Charmander.
Got it. Tony, what'd you start with?
So I had picked Squirtle, and I had like the guide, and it was like laying out all the different choices and what they had early. It was like where they were going to end up, and showed you like your three guys, what they're going to look like at the end. So I kind of picked Squirtle because I thought he looked the coolest, and I just liked everything about him. And I mean, I'm pretty sure that was my first one. It was either Squirtle, possibly Charmander, but I think it was Squirtle. And it was like, no matter what, I knew I was gonna. I'm pretty sure I played through the game so many times and ended up swapping Pokemon with my sister so many times that it was like I ended up playing with all three at one point in multiple runs, and leading into some of the tricks things. You used to clone them, and I would come in with three starters right away.
So to give a little bit of background on the creation of Pokemon, so the creator is Satoshi Tajiri. He was the lead designer, and he used to collect bugs as a kid. They used to call him the bug kid, and he would actually trade these bugs with other bug collectors. And he like was in love with these, like, which explains why there's so many insect-like Pokemon. So when he joins Game Freaks, and originally the name starts as a comic book and then it becomes a video game company. Long story short, he goes to Nintendo, pitches this idea, Nintendo agrees to publish it, and Miyamoto comes on as an executive producer. But he said the thing that interested him the most was not the Game Boy, but the link cable. And at the time, the link cable was primarily being used to play multiplayer Tetris. But he looked at it and kind of wanted to recreate that bug trading like environment that he had as a kid. So this gets us into our next question. And I wanted to ask you, Tony, you obviously a sibling had it. Did you trade Pokemon a lot? Was the multiplayer part of it heavily utilized?
Oh yeah, of course. I used to trade. Her and I would trade all the time. I had friends at school that also had been playing Pokemon, so it was like when we go over each other's houses, we were trading back and forth all the time and trying different ones. That, like if he had blue and I had red, it was perfect. If he had red and I had red, we'd be like trading our Pokemon to level them up and things like that. So we're always utilizing that cable more than anything else I've ever seen any game up until then. It was like, and being able to play against each other was wild.
Yeah.
Instead of just playing NPC.
Oh yeah, that was great. Now, Tony, we're all friends here. You can admit this. The statute of limitations is gone. Were you duping at the time? Were you turning the Game Boy off so both people kept the Pokemon?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I used to steal my sister's Game Boy, play her game fresh till I would get to the starter to far enough to trade, run them in, and then start duping them over and over.
100%.
I found that out and I was like, oh, I can just keep making copies of these. This is great.
Yeah. No, it was awesome. George, did you do a lot of trading, battling, friends or family?
I did the exact same thing. When my younger brother got a copy, he ended up also getting blue for some reason. Don't know what the thought was there. Yeah, it was 100%. I was the older brother going, oh, you got to restart your game. And I'd get his starter Pokemon, put it in mine. Oh, no, you got to start your game again. Get the other starter Pokemon, put it in mine. Yeah. And that continued for Gold and Silver as well.
And for me, me and my friend traded and played a lot. Had a few family members. I actually bought used link cable at, I don't know, whatever GameStop was before GameStop, like Walden Software for $10. And then games. I was also lucky enough that when I pulled out my Game Boy, I found a Game Genie with it for my Game Boy that I had gotten like so long ago. So I was actually the one person who had Mew out of all my friends and was able to dupe it to people. I think I traded it to Hayes for his like super powered up Dragonite or whatever the final form was. Did you guys ever have access to Mew when you played? Access to Mew, you said, Tony?
I had to use like a Game Shark or Game Genie to get the Mew added in, and that was the only way we could get it. But like we weren't lucky enough to be one of the few contest winners in Japan or whatever it was to get a copy of it.
Yeah. So what about you, George?
What I did was I got Pokemon Stadium, and when you got that game, you were able to unlock a whole bunch of stuff. I think you can actually get Mew in Pokemon Stadium and then port it over, but I might be misremembering that. I might just be wishful thinking.
That sounds familiar. I do remember there was like Mew was like a rumor, and then he wasn't really happening, and then like you could get him behind the truck at SSN, and that was another fake rumor, and then all this stuff, and then finally like, no, Mew was just for this thing, for this contest. That's the only way you're gonna get him. And then so many people went crazy for it that they wanted it so bad. They're like, all right, fine, he's now lore. There's 151 Pokemon. And he just kind of like appeared, and then they gave people ways to capture him in later games, it seems like.
Yeah, what I'm recalling is, if you beat Pokemon Stadium completely on the normal level, you would get some starters. Like that way you can get an extra copy of Bulbasaur or whoever. Yeah. This might be me just repeating the rumors from when I was a kid. But I think if you beat it on level 2, you got Mew. This sounds fake. I think I'm just repeating rumors here.
I was very happy to get an early Mew, although every once in a while his player icon would just come out completely glitched. Mm-hmm. Like 1 out of every 20 fights, he would just be all pixelated. But then it never did that in Pokemon Yellow when I streamed that. So that was definitely. Speaking of that rumor, Tony, isn't it crazy how stuff gets around? Because I heard about the truck behind the SSN, and this is really right on the precipice of 50% of people are on the internet. You remember any other rumors or things you heard on the playground?
Tons of them. And my favorite one was when the Pokeball opens, or it was when it opens or closed when you threw a Pokeball, if you hit down an A at the perfect time, it would convert it into a Master Ball in the system. Totally unfounded, totally was not true. But it didn't stop me from doing it every single time. I hit both those buttons and I'm like, oh, I got it this time. And it would come out. I was like, oh, you must have been off by a little bit, because I, of course, believed it to be true.
Yeah.
I was like, well,
it was like a Final Fantasy VIII summon. If you hit 255, it'll turn into a Master Ball. Yeah.
It was like,
George, you hear
just
any
perfectly get it.
None besides those, or at least I don't remember them. I also have heard about the truck behind the SSN, which does not exist.
It's so crazy how certain things on the playground would spread like fire, like the Pokemon stuff, the Mario 64 stuff, the Mortal Kombat blood code, stuff that we would all just have memorized in our brains. It's crazy how in the zeitgeist that Pokemon was.
I get on the other thing of the rumors. Did you ever try to catch or capture Masingo?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That was one of the few rumors that I found out actually to be true.
Yeah.
Which was cool.
Didn't it look like a piece of spaghetti or something? Like what?
It was like a rectangle with pixels all over it.
That was it.
Sometimes you'd catch what was this?
A Chansey.
A Chansey. Well, I would get I think it was dependent on the game, but I would get what's the Kangaskhan, but it was 106. It was level 127 or something. But if he leveled up or anything, he would go back down to 100. And it was really glitched out. It would always ruin your game if you kept them on for too long. And if you traded them, it would really mess things up.
I think you could duplicate items that way too, because I remember having too many of everything.
You could duplicate your 6th item in your inventory. Yeah. And I don't know that from making 1,000 rare candies.
I made so many rare candies. I was such a nerd with Pokemon. Pokemon was probably my second game I ever put 100 hours in or more. My first was Final Fantasy VII, but Pokemon was definitely the second. But when I found out that with rare candy, your Pokemon get lesser stats. So I had boosted Dragonite to 80 or something. I actually went back and leveled it up by hand because I was like, oh my God, it's going to be weak when I face another level 80 Dragonite. I would just remember the final 4 Gym Masters? I would just run that over and over and farm up Pokemon. Did you guys spend a lot of time farming and leveling up your guys? Did you ever hit some big levels?
I had these terrible plans. Every time I'd enter a new area, I'd find new Pokemon. I was like, well, my new level is everyone has to be level 25 before I can leave this area. And I would spend hours just leveling up. And then it would be like, all right, all these Pokemon are up to level 25, change them out, bring in 6 fresh ones. We're just going to keep grinding through hours on hours, just grinding for no reason. I would just bring them to the next area and do the same thing again. It wasn't even like I was leveling up good ones or anything. I was just like, everyone has to be 25. Everyone has to be level 30. All right, everyone has to be level 35. It was the silliest rule that I would make to myself, but it would stretch the game on for endless hours.
Yeah. It ruined me for the rest of the series because it got to the point where, I don't know, let's say Pokemon Black and White came out. And I was like, well, I'm still not done with, the 4th Pokemon game. I was playing the remakes, Heart Gold and Soul Silver. I was like, why am I still playing these? Oh, because I'm trying to level up every Pokemon like an idiot. There's 250 of them. Stop.
Now would be a really good time to get into. I want to find out if were you big into the anime, George? We can start with you. Were you watching it all the time? Was it something that you felt and did you ever feel like you took anything from the show that you used in the game? Because they would always advertise it watch this cartoon and get tips and tricks for the game. I don't remember one, but George, maybe you remember something.
No, they definitely did not teach me any tips and tricks because I was so deep into the game at that point. Like the anime was too far behind.
Got it.
However, I distinctly remember there was an episode where they get on a, what was it?
Was it the
There were-
Polygon one?
No, there were two moments. One was when, I'm not counting the Pokemon seizure episode.
Okay,
But,
that's what I thought you were referencing.
No, when they introduced Togepi as an egg Pokemon, well before the second games came out, the second
Yes.
wave of games, that was huge. And then they did the same thing for the third gen, where I think it was Kecleon. Yeah, it was Kecleon. They went on a blimp. And they're like, oh, look at these Pokemon. It's from the Hoenn region. You're like, wait, what's that? And I rewatched them with my kids, and I was still very excited.
Were you watching it like every morning before school? Was it something that you were actively watching when it first came out?
Every Saturday, 100%.
Got it. Tony, how about you? Were you watching the cartoon?
I was watching the anime quite a bit, and I could say I often would yell at the screen, "What are you doing, Ash? Stop giving away all of your Pokemon. You're supposed to be capturing them all."
The man's a Pokemon philanthropist. What do you want from him?
Often it would be, what he fights Brock. It's like, oh, good. Has a ground type. What's he gonna put out? Pikachu. It's like, you're doing the wrong things. You're doing all of the wrong things and just somehow failing upward. It was like the epitome of just fail upward with enough heart and grit. You could just make your way through it. And meanwhile, I'm playing the game like, nope, this isn't working at all. Going with an electric type into a ground and rock gym is just going to get my teeth kicked in. And it was just constantly thinking like, this guy is an idiot. And I cannot believe he's a Pokemon master.
It got to the point where the creators of the show, I think, realized what they did, because when they made the new ones, it was Pokemon Master Journeys, they introduced a new character. His name is Go, like Pokemon Go. And his job was to catch all the Pokemon. Ash's job was to win all the battles. Because they're like, yeah, Ash is too inept at retaining Pokemon to catch them all. We need another full character that's his job now.
Yeah,
Ash gave it his full shot, but we
I distinctly remember the Butterfree
we're going in a
episode.
different direction in this company. Yeah. He got his termination letter. It would air 5 days a week when I was in 8th grade, Monday through Friday, every morning. And that's how I got caught up. I probably came to Pokemon like a month in, but I knew every morning, watch it. And then that commercial break before the Poke Rap, I knew I had to leave and go to the bus. And you know what? I didn't even care about the Poke Rap, hated it. The Pokemon are the easiest. Like you want to talk about failing upward. Like it is, anyone can guess the Pokemon. It's like the Pokemon they've been showing you the whole time.
Right.
It's always like the
"It's a
newest one in the episode.
Like I was
That
like,
hasn't
wow.
changed.
Really?
Oh yeah. We got to, I think we're in season 4 of my kids, where like that I'm watching with them. They've gone ahead and watched all of, like, when I'm not watching with them, they'll watch the newest ones. But it always is, oh yeah, look, it's that Pokemon you've been watching for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And now in the newest versions of the show, they don't even bother.
I went back and watched the first season again concurrently when I was streaming Pokemon Yellow. The pilot where you meet Pikachu and he's a little bit sassy and then the sparrows are coming for him. I don't know if you guys remember that pilot, but it is excellent. It is so perfect for what it needs to be, which is dramatically pulling in every grade school kid in the country.
Yep.
I would also recommend then Netflix did a reimagining of that beginning and made it in movie form, and it's phenomenal. It goes way beyond that. Like he gets all his other Pokemon, and there's a big climactic battle. So good.
So I do have a question on the show. Did you all get super excited about the movie that I think came out like a year or two later?
Yes, I was in the theaters like day one for that.
I unfortunately have now seen them all.
Unfortunately.
All the made straight for TV ones. Yeah.
Oh boy.
No.
I never went past the first one. I was good.
No.
Like it's like the SpongeBob movie. Like if they make more, I'm good. Just give me one. Like
Just give me the first one.
Yeah. I think that they're having the show with the trading cards and the game all at the same time. Before we go into what's age the best and before you go into Pokemon spinoffs, I want to touch upon the last piece of that Triforce, which was the card game. Tony, I want to start with you. Did you collect the cards? Was it something where you had to collect every card? And if you did collect cards, do you still know where they are or still have them in
I'm pretty sure I definitely collected them. It was I got $5. I'm buying a pack. I'm going to the local comic shop. I'm going to buy a pack or two. It was the waste of my money was just astounding for a kid at that age when I couldn't get money very easily, and I was burning it up on cardboard cards, hoping for something great. And I had a binder for it. My sister had a binder for hers. My brother had a binder for his. Everyone had their own binder with their labels on it, and it was like locked up so that you couldn't accidentally get them mixed or they couldn't be stolen. And it was like they were in little sleeves, and it was just every time I'd get new packs, I'd slide all the good ones in there, and then all the elements would go somewhere else. I was like, I never even bothered to learn how to play. It was just collect them, and it was as much as I could hold on to. It's in a red binder, I think, still at my parents' house. Pretty sure I can still picture exactly where it is. My old bedroom.
Wow. George, collected them, played them, battled.
Collected them and played them. Didn't really like the game that much, honestly, at the time. You know, I still don't like it very much now.
It is not a good multiplayer game. It is not. I never had a lot of fun playing that game, playing the trading card game competitively.
No, but the Game Boy version I liked a lot because I don't have to shuffle anything.
Yeah.
And I play Pokemon Pocket to this day. I really like that. All my cards got given away, which I regret. But
me too. I
it's
no
too
longer
late.
have my cards, and I regret it as well because I had the binder and I had every single Pokemon card. I
Oh,
had
man.
all 150. I had a Chansey, a Charizard, everything. Now, oh my God, now
Oh, yeah.
if I had them, like
Yeah.
that, they'd be putting my kids through college, but nope, all gone.
No, but I only did it for a few years because I think, 3 years later, you're approaching high school, and I got into other card games. Like Yu-Gi-Oh! Became a thing. I played that for a bit, and then I was Magic the Gathering, bought those. That was it.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if I was in the minority on that, where I found the card game just very basic. It didn't really do much for me.
It wasn't even worth learning.
I
That's
know.
how I saw it.
Yeah. You just wanted to stare at the shiny Pokemon.
Yep. I just want to collect the Pokemon.
So getting back into the game, I feel like we took a little side quest there. What has aged the best? I can start having recently played the game. I will say the first thing that I love is the idea of the collecting and the idea that if you give me a finite number of really cute things, I was not going to stop until I got every one. They just built these monsters that you like weirdly bonded with. And when I caught all of these Pokemon, I felt this attachment. And then I'd get a little sad when I was evolving a Pikachu to a Raichu. I think that's what's aged the best for me. They just got it so right with the creatures, plus the part of my gamer brain that just wanted to collect them all. Like it was the damn slogan. Tony, what aged the best for you?
I would say that it probably is that like rock, paper, scissors element that they build into it, but it's 15v15 rock, paper, scissors. And it's not just who has the most strength, but who has the right abilities, who has the right guys, building your team. And then, like you said, you're bonding with your team. You're making yourself a strong team of 6 that you can carry yourself through the game and then play against others out in the world and play against your friends and things like that and be like, oh, no, my team's going to be stronger than yours. I bet I can beat you. And having agreements like, no, all right, no bringing in rock types or no normal types or things like that. So it was like you could set up teams and stuff, but that like rock, paper, scissors element, I think made the game that much more interesting because especially when you find a new Pokemon, you're like, all right, what is this guy going to come hit me with? What do I have to bring forward my defenses? And when you'd play against a gym, well, not so much a gym, you kind of knew what they were, but like when you play against like random people out in the world, you'd be like, I hope this guy doesn't have electric types because I didn't bring any rocks and I've got a lot of weak to electric. And then out comes like an electro buzz or what's the ball one? I always forget the name of it.
Voltorb and Electrode.
Electrode and Voltorb. The Voltorb pops out. You're like, oh, please don't self-destruct. I mean, just don't blow up in my face. I just don't want you. And he blows up and kills your lead guy. So it was that little rock, paper, scissors and not knowing what you're going to get. I really think that has aged well. It's like the core mechanic of the game as it progressed through its series after that.
Before we go over to George, I just have one comment on that. It's the best and the worst because it's the best when it logically works. Fire burns grass, fire burns ice. But then every once in a while, like ghosts just randomly do double damage to each other. How am I supposed to know that? How would I logically figure that
You
weakness
just figure it out.
Chart there in front of you, which I basically almost had burned to the inside of my eyeballs of like this type and that across the top, and then your attacks and your defense, and it's like, which one's green? Yeah, those ones go together. Red, don't even try it.
Yeah. I know. I was trying to go in blind. It was like my initial critique with Mega Man X were figuring out those boss weaknesses. One step too difficult. George, what's age the best for you?
You guys had great answers, so I'm going to have to shift mine a little bit.
Oh, boy.
I appreciate that it wasn't just, okay, here's some Pokemon, you level them up and they evolve. That's it. Because that can get a little plain. Instead, it's some of them evolve if you need a stone. Some of them evolve if you trade them, which would further force you into the trading mechanism, which is the whole gist of the game. That premise also carries forward. There's one Pokemon where if you evolve it and you don't have an extra spot in your party, you miss out on the second Pokemon you get. It's literally a bug that evolves, and then the shell it leaves behind, like a cicada, becomes
Becomes a Pokemon.
it becomes a Pokemon. It's called
That's
like
wild.
Shellinja or something like that. It's like something variation of the word ninja. It has 1 HP,
Oh, okay.
and it's ghost type.
Yeah.
I think
Of
it's ghost
course.
bug.
That makes
I think
sense.
so. So they're always doing weird stuff like that, which I think is cool.
I'll take another what's aged the best, and then we'll circle back around to Tony, because there's so much about this game that's aged the best, because it's aged really, really well. I would say what's aged the best, and this might be what's aged the best in the history of gaming, is that this game arrived on a handheld. If the link
Yes.
cable had existed, if trading had existed on on an N64, we could have this on a different system. But the fact that Tajiri's idea of the community that comes with collecting Pokemon just worked on the Game Boy. And this was the perfect thing for handheld. This isn't my hot take, so I'll just say it. But if Pokemon's on handheld, I don't think it goes anywhere. If Pokemon's not on handheld, if it's on a home system, I think it's fun, but I don't think it's top 10 video game franchises.
It doesn't
in the world.
explode like this.
So what's aged the best for me is its appearance on the Game Boy 10 years later.
I would agree with that. Your handheld, it's just like in the game. You're going out on an adventure. Here, you're a 10-year-old. Here's a Pokemon. Go out into the world. Now here's the game. You're on a handheld. Go out into the world and play it wherever you want. Go out, capture your Pokemon. And part of that is that to what George said, it's not like here's 6 guys. Here's your 6 Pokemon that you're going to start the game and play and level them up like a Final Fantasy, where it's like, here's your characters, here's your team, RPG your way through, grow the team. It's like, oh, you see that guy? He looks interesting. Go capture him. Now he's on your team. You want to grow him up, or now he's not interesting? Now I'll just leave him in my box. Or if you're Ash, you'll let him free and just get rid of him. But you can just grow whoever you want, whichever Pokemon you find. It's like, oh, that's a new one. I'm going to capture it. I'm going to try it. I like it. You try it out and see the new things that it brings to the team. I think that was also kind of like what really brought this game to life.
And I can extend what Tony said the first time. It's not just the 15 by 15, giant rock, paper, scissors. It's the fact that every Pokemon can learn different moves.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not really 15 by 15 because they have 4 different slots. It's almost like 60 by 60,
Yeah.
Okay, so I have water Pokemon, but it also knows ice. And then I have a psychic Pokemon that also has a ghost move.
They're like
whatever
sneak
you want to think.
attacks.
Yeah, like this way, it's like, well, I know he's going to come out with an electric Pokemon. So if my Pokemon knows Earthquake, I'll knock it out. Just so many layers deep there.
Mm-hmm.
Pokemon is such a surface level pop culture thing, but such a deep game.
Yeah.
Replaying it, I realized the RPG elements in it are actually quite groundbreaking for a lot of the things that it does. The learning moves with your characters, you could do that in some Final Fantasies, but for most people, this was their introduction to any type of role-playing mechanic. This might have been the first time some gamers had ever leveled something up, or had to make choices about what party do I want. In most games, you're just playing as Samus or you're just playing as Link. But here, you had to formulate, strategize, get tactical about what your lineup was going to be. I think that's one of the most miracle things. Tony, I don't know if when it was coming out, but did you know you were getting like this super hefty RPG, or was it like this pleasant surprise?
Not a clue. I knew it was the hot new game. Every Nintendo Power I'd seen for the last year was talking about it. All my friends were talking about it. The anime was coming out. It was just like, it was flooding the market with this new thing that no one had ever heard of, and it had been so big in Japan that it was like taking off like crazy in popularity without really having much other than just rumors, and there's no internet really at the time that was spreading the stuff like there is now. So it was like the best you had was maybe a Game Informer, but mostly Nintendo Power and the Schoolyard.
Yeah, and the very early remnants of GameFAQs.
Yes.
George, what do you remember about like some of those RPG elements? For you, was that, we were pretty young, so was that some of your first dallying with role-playing video games?
I believe it was. Games I would usually play are more Mario's. I did luck my way into a Mortal Kombat 2, so I was playing a little bit of that. Yeah,
Scandalous.
I know,
Oh
right?
my.
Some sports games I had for the Genesis and Super Nintendo, but I didn't have any crunchy RPGs. You know, I didn't have any Final Fantasies at that point. I didn't have Breath of Fire, and you name it. I didn't have it. So the fact that I had to sit there and think about like what moves better, especially because I mean you also have to remember in this game they don't give you a description of the moves. You just got to test it out and try it the first time around. You know, now you turn on a Pokemon game and it's like, well, what's that move? And it just gives you literally the whole dump of information. Sometimes almost like it's overload. This one was just, hey man, figure it out. Oh, you messed it up. Hope you didn't save.
Yeah. Try to guess what this element is going to be. Hopefully the earthquake is not a normal attack. It's a ground attack because you're planning on being the ground, and you see it super effective, and you're thankful to see those words.
Or you try the move Fissure and go, why didn't it do anything?
Yes.
And then just never figure it out for a while.
Yeah, I think the last thing for me that's aged the best, and then please feel free to like mention anything else that you feel has aged really well. Well, just like what's aged the best was the community aspect of it. This was before online gaming. This was before you traded gamer tags and Nintendo IDs. And Tajiri's main idea like really came to fruition. Like people interacted with friends and family through gaming. Yeah, we all played multiplayer games. Maybe you'd play Tetris against a friend, but the community element of it just really actually working out. That's pretty awesome. And that's led to Pokemon being more of a communal experience, which is why I think things like Pokemon Go and stuff were so successful. Anything for either of you guys that's aged really well?
I mean, that kind of covers most of it for me. It's
Yeah.
like the core element. The game ultimately isn't a lot of action or things like it's a very basic take you guys out, go find some stuff, fight it. There is the physical mechanics of it isn't that much, but the deeper level to it is what really excels.
Yeah. George, what is aged the worst besides the price of a bicycle?
Yeah.
In this economy?
$10 million bicycle. I got a few, but I'll do one at a time here. The idea that you could have moves just stop your turn, that was so bad. Like that.
When I got put in that electric thing, drove me bananas.
Bind, wrap, combine it with paralysis. Like there are some times in these original games where it's just so frustrating, and you're like, okay, so I got to sit through this animation for another minute before I can do anything meaningful. You know, they clearly learned from that mistake, but man, you go back and you play those original versions, that's not fun.
Agreed. Tony, how about you?
I would say on top of that, the sheer brute force of having to just constantly buy items and inventory to keep your Pokemon alive. If you got poisoned, there was nothing that would frustrate me more than a Pokemon getting poisoned. And I know it's in the game still to this day, but those kind of things, it was like, oh, this Pokemon fell asleep. I would basically have to play that boss. I would have to keep playing that fight until the Pokemon woke up naturally. Because if I knew that if I didn't do that, they would never wake up again until I made them rest or gave them like an element to wake them up. So it was like, okay, so now I'm sitting here waiting for the guy to either die or to wake up on his own and then immediately get slept again. It's like, I can't do this. And I'd swap guys just to move it along. It was just the grind sometimes would get me. And part of that is my own fault, but I get that there is always going to be a little bit of grind in a game like this.
That kind of dives into another thing I hated. The bag itself. The inventory is not sorted. You don't know what everything does necessarily. And then all of a sudden it goes, hey man, you're in a room. So why don't you get rid of antidote? Why don't you get rid of, I don't know.
I used to spend 15 minutes at a time sorting my bag. You could sort it with select, but only one item at a time. And you didn't move them, you swap them.
Yes.
So you didn't move places up the bag line. It was like, okay, I want this one at the top, so I got to take it to the top. I want the one that was at the top, I want second. So I got to move that all the way up from the bottom up and just slowly reorganizing the bag. Then you get a new item and be like, oh, I need that near this middle. Okay, let's sort this stuff again.
Or you get the HMs or the TMs and you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
But those are hogging up spots for actual healing items. So what do? You just like, oh, well, I have a guy with cut. Maybe that'll work. And then you forget about it. Maybe you swap your party. You get to a place and you're like, I got to go back. Got to go back to the computer and get cut out because there's no room in my inventory.
And you got to go into your inventory to get your bicycle.
I spent more time prioritizing what my top 5 were or my top 8 were in my inventory. So when I open my bag, okay, the number 1 thing is bicycle. Okay, the number 2 thing is fishing rod.
Yep.
I spent more time thinking about this than I do like setting my monthly budget. And you can only swap them one at a time with the select button, like Tony mentioned. So I would stream Pokemon Yellow maybe 90 minutes at a time, and 30 minutes of that was me sitting in menus because I'm either organizing my Pokedex or like looking what I need or organizing items, or I'm at shops buying stuff, right?
But to be fair, the developers like got the memo, and these things all started to get better over time.
Which is the thing that I have to admit here. I have never beat another Pokemon game, like traditional role playing. I played Pokemon Snap and stuff like that. This is the only traditional Pokemon game I've ever truly completed. So in my mind, the inventory system is broken forever. But I did hear great things, and you can speak to a little more, George, about those quality of life improvements, because did they fix inventory where like you had infinite slots? Or did they also not putting the description on TMs? That's brutal.
Having to memorize those numbers was awful.
Right?
Because you didn't know what they did. And you was like, oh, do you want to use this? It's called Thundershock. I was like, I don't know if I want to give this to like my Rata.
I'm trying to figure out, like, does it paralyze or does it damage? Because my Pikachu right now has 2 damaging things and 1 paralyzed. So I'm like, okay, well, I can balance it out. No, don't tell me what it does. Just tell me the move name. That's helpful. Like, not.
Well, I could tell you now, all those things are gone.
Okay.
You know, you pick up a TM and your bag, it goes directly in your TM slot of your bag, which is separate from your Pokeball slot, which is separate from your other item slot, none of which have limits. But that probably was a function of the Game Boy itself, I think. I don't remember in Gen 2 if there was a hard cap on items or not. But yeah, you don't have that same level of frustration in the newer games for sure. But that being said, if you've never finished another one, how much do you know about Generation 2 Gold and Silver and Crystal?
0.
I know that
I'm going to say
nothing
because you should totally stream one of them.
I really should. Here's my problem. I hope I'm not taking anyone else's hot take, but it's really hard for me to care about any of the Pokemon out of the 151. Whenever I played any of these other games and I run into like, oh, hello, Spiderino. I'm like, Spiderino, you're like not cool because I didn't grow up with you. So that's been it. Like, you know what I mean? But yeah, well, like I this is it. This is the only gen I touched, really. Again, I had it for 3DS on the eShop. I don't think I ever beat it.
I could tell you that in Gen 2, there's only 252 Pokemon. So you have your same 150 base with the extra 100. They're pretty good designs. So you should enjoy it. Also, I can't say why. It's my favorite one of the series.
Wow.
But to give you one of the reasons why would probably ruin your going in blind experience.
Okay, I appreciate that. Can you do me a favor? Can you Google how many overall Pokemon there are? I want to guess because I have no clue.
Sure.
I have no clue how many Pokemon exist. I just know the 151, and then I assume that it went to 200 at some point. So while you're doing that, I'll ask you, Tony, anything else that's aged the worst for you? No, stop counting Pokemon. It's my game, not yours.
No, I don't think there's too much else that's aged the worst for me. I mean, aside from the slow, like moving around felt slow. I know in later games, I heard they added
brutal before the bicycle.
Before the bicycle, it's
bicycle
brutal.
Before fly.
And then what was it? Apparently later on you get running shoes, which you just have to hold down a button and you can run almost as fast as
boots and Pokemon.
Yeah. And you run almost as fast as with the bicycle. So it was like,
oh shit.
I to cut to a later question I know is coming. I did eventually get red and green for the Switch 2 recently when they had the latest remake. And I was like, oh, I do remember. I love this old game. I loved Red. So I'm going to get Red again and I'm going to play it. And it was like, I was watching some people stream it. Like, yeah, now they have this. I'm like, no, they don't. That wasn't in the first game. That wasn't in Pokemon Red. It's like, no, they don't have this. That wasn't in Red. And then it comes up and it's like, no, it's happening. And I'm like, what did they change? It's like, yeah, then you get the running shoes. I'm like, there's no running shoes. And the guy's like sprinting around the level. I'm like, you can run now in Pokemon? I was like, they took out all the things that were really crappy. And that was one of the ones I do remember.
But you got to think, to be able to fix the quality of life stuff in Pokemon, because you're right. It would be brutal sometimes where I'd be walking through these giant Diglett caves I'm like, okay, well, we'll just cut to the next town and then I'll buy stuff at the shop. Oh, I didn't realize how hard this cave was going to be. Oh
Yeah.
my God, I don't have any anti-paralysis or I don't have any super potions or whatever it's called. You're right, Tony. It was a difficult game.
You're just going like this. Don't capture me. Don't find me. Don't
Yeah.
find me. Don't find me.
Don't put me to
there's the
sleep.
music.
Don't bind me. Don't
But at
bind me,
least there's
Daddy.
no permadeath. You know, why getting wiped is you don't lose your levels, you don't lose your experience, you lose your time, which sucks. But
I know.
you just lose
And your money. The money was the
Yeah.
worst.
I never ran out of money in Pokemon. I just sort of just did my thing.
Well,
and I was
until
like,
I started duping stuff. Yes.
Money bag. I didn't know if this is Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah,
of,
this guy's over here
Lavender Town over here.
collecting
but
nuggets.
imagine, you know, those running shoes, that was generation 3. So
Yes.
you're only 3 iterations deep when they're putting in all these different things.
Wow. All right. I'm going to guess how many. Do you have the total? How many Pokemon exist?
Yep.
I don't know how many gens we have. I'm going to guess. I'm just going to do 5 by 150, and I'm going to say 750 Pokemon exist.
Oh, I know it's higher than that.
It is higher than that.
I could tell you, I think it's closer to like 1,200 now. There's 10 gens.
1,028.
1,028.
There's over 1,000 Pokemon now?
And that being said, I don't think that includes variations.
That is so many There's so many creatures to create.
Well, because they got to a point where they're like, oh man, you know, maybe instead of making our 3rd or 15th cat Pokemon, we're going to take this original Pokemon and just make it weird. So like you go to the Alola region and it's like Diglett has hair. Yeah.
Wow.
Got
Hashtag not my
implants.
Diglett. I
Doug
like
Trio
my-
almost looks like a Molari Curly. Like one's got the wavy hair.
Oh my God. That
No,
would,
no,
that
no,
would
no.
definitely happen.
So like I think Doug Trio is a steel type, and then they made a Vulpix that's an ice and fairy type.
This is where it gets confusing. Don't redo my originals, man.
Yeah, don't start adding other types. What are you talking about?
Don't
Well,
put,
you don't just
put
call it
wigs
Vulpix,
on
you call it
my
Alolan
Diglets.
Vulpix. This way you know.
Okay. Before we get into our hottest take, I wanted to ask you guys what is your favorite any type of Pokemon spin-off game? Any type. So this includes Stadium, Snap, Go, all of the like are the Legends games considered? Maybe. I don't know. I'm going to let you guys figure that out. We'll start with you, George. What is your favorite Pokemon variety game?
It's really hard to pick because I've played a lot of them and I enjoy most of them. For nostalgia reasons, I'm going to have to go with Pokemon Pinball. I know you streamed it, didn't care for it.
Streamed it.
Yes, I played the heck out of it. I understand the systems really well. It's got its own, we could talk a whole nother hour about Pokemon Pinball, or at least I could. It's got its problems, especially if you're trying to catch them all, like good luck. I tried to do it with an emulator and only recently gave up. I was like, what am I doing with my life? I'm done. Moved
Compared
on.
to Sonic Spinball, it's a masterpiece.
Oh
but go
my
ahead.
God.
I also like Sonic Spinball. I like
I
pinball.
died so much. Okay, so you chose Pokemon Pinball. That's a good choice. I don't think I'd ever really given it a lot of time until I streamed it, and it was fun. I liked a lot of the mechanics. I liked that you could catch Pokemon. Like they kept a lot of the core functionality in it,
Yeah.
which made it pretty fun for a pinball game. And then I think it had like the Rumble Pack on it or something, right? Or did it have like
Yes,
a
it
tilt
did.
or something?
It needed a separate AAA battery.
Nintendo's just always been in the pocket of big battery. Although again, not a Game Gear, so we can't really say anything about that. Tony, what was your favorite Pokemon spinoff?
So finding out that you could play a Pokemon battle system on the N64 in 3D blew
Mhm.
all of our minds. It was like you get to play the battles. Now you get to see them outside of the 2D world where they're just a pixelated shape or something. You only get to see them in like the Pokedex, and they didn't look always that great. Who was it? One of them? I think it's Blastoise. Looks extremely bloated and fat with his stomach way out in the original game.
Yeah.
And some of them, they didn't look great in their Pokedex pictures, but like you get them in the Pokemon Stadium. It was like, whoa, look how cool they are. Look at the moves and everything. It was wild to see the actual moves. Cause like, again, a Hydro Pump in your Game Boy is just a couple of little boop, goes across the screen and it makes like a whooshing noise and that's about it. But to see it happen on the screen on TV and watching like all the water explode everywhere and everything, it was just so cool.
Jinx is nightmare fuel though.
No, yeah, I believe that.
Oh, her lips like pop off her face. You're like, ah.
Mine, and this is going to be directly related to my hot take, so I won't go too much into it, but mine is Pokemon Go. I had a lot of very fun memories and a lot of time played on Pokemon Go. Runner-up was Pokemon Snap. Pokemon Snap, that N64 game, I never bought it. I only ever rented it from Blockbuster, but I rented it from Blockbuster twice. and I just enjoyed the heck out of it. Both I've never revisited it, but it is one that's on the short stream of short list of streamable games coming up soon.
You should get the new Pokemon Snap.
I've never played it, but I'd
You
be
should
interested.
consider just you've gotten everything you wanted out of Pokemon Snap. You're all done. You don't need it anymore. 2 rentals was twice as much as you needed.
I know,
Yeah.
I know. I can actually ask you guys. So I rented Pokemon Snap, and I was like, okay, like that was a couple of hours of fun. Did either of you guys purchase that? Because I feel like I would have felt rip off had I spent $60 on it.
I think my little brother asked for it for his birthday. So we had it, but I wasn't one that I was like, why would you want to just take pictures? I'd rather play the game than just watch them. It's like I could do that in the game.
I'm pretty sure I got a used copy that still has the Blockbuster sticker on it.
No more sneaking
got
into
it
your
cheap.
mom's closet for Funkoland toys. You
No.
you moved up in the world.
Yeah, no, and then it's also available on Switch Online. So, I poked around in it and then realized, oh yeah, I could beat this in like an hour or 2. It's not that hard.
Yeah, I did that. I did that with Yoshi's Story. I bought that stupid game and I beat it in like an hour. And I was like, what the? But didn't have it with Pokemon Snap. Okay, so I actually have something for what's aged the best, and I want to see if you guys agree with me. I don't think this is a hot take. And then, George, I'm going to ask for your opinion after, because you can tell me I'm crazy. I feel Pokemon is a franchise that has been pretty well respected and has actually not been exploited too often with bad games or bad ideas or bad concepts. Pokemon Snap was good in theory and maybe felt like a waste of money, but other gaming franchises like Call of Duty, they just wring them out and they try to like get as much profit. Do you agree that they've done a good job of protecting the Pokemon brand?
I think it's mostly true. As far as mainline games go, the biggest complaint that I've ever seen was it doesn't iterate enough over time. But then they fix that by having new Pokemon. And you're like, oh, there's new things. I can learn the new Pokemon. And when I say iterate, I mean people wanted 3D battling like you have in our Pokemon ZA. They've been asking for that for a while, which I'm not surprised took a long time. That looks like it was really tough to develop. But then if you go into some of the side games, I don't know. There's been some where I'm like, really? Did you need to make this? Like, I think it was one called Pokemon Trozoi or something, which was just like it was almost like a match 3 kind of thing. I was like, what is this?
Yeah. There was some of that in the early 2000s.
Yeah, stuff available on the 3DS or maybe even on your phone. I was like, eh. But for the most part,
maybe I didn't get fed as much shovelware. Tony, do you agree, or can you think of things off the top of your head that were a little exploity of the Pokemon brand?
There was so many Pokemon toys outside of just the games. There's the merchandising on that was like they were everywhere. It was like we had little Pokeballs, and if you opened up, there was a Pokemon figurine inside of it, and each one of us got one as like a Christmas gift, as like a little stocking stuffer. But it was like they were in everything and everywhere for the longest time. It was just anywhere we could merchandise this idea out, it was being put out outside of the core games and some of the card games and things like that. But as far as games go, I don't remember them having too many like really junk kind of shovelware games that I could remember. I might have been after the fact that it was like, this is beyond Gen 1 for me. I'm not as interested in getting older. And it's like, I'm not going to go back and play this game I'm not that obsessed with Pokemon to play this one little shovelware game.
I have a good answer for you. Pokemon Puzzle League doesn't need to exist. If you're familiar with Tetris Attack.
I've never touched it, but I know the cover. It's ingrained into my head.
Yeah.
It's just Tetris Attack, which is the same as Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, which is the same as like every other skin they've put on it. I actually touched it this past week. I was like, let's see. It's on the Switch Online. And all they did was they take the anime characters and voices, have them record like 2, maybe 3 lines, and you just play Tetris Attack.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, that it was nice to see like they put the anime characters in there. Maybe I would have liked that more as a kid, but I don't know, man. That's
a Japanese tradition though, because like remember like the Busta Move and the Bubble Bobble things with like all of a sudden you had Street Fighter characters on it, but it was the same game. So like kind of reminds me of that.
Well, they made a Game Boy version too. They call it Pokemon Puzzle Challenge. But due to physical limitations, instead of, I don't know, let's say it was like 12 blocks long in the Nintendo 64, it was down to 8 on the Game Boy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They also had like a couple quick ones like Pokemon Sudoku. I remember it was like a DS game. So Maybe they haven't been as rigorous as I once alluded to.
Yeah. When you really like at first glance, you think, oh yeah, these are all bangers. Then you really dig in and you go,
Yeah,
wait
you
a minute.
really dust some of the cobwebs off, and you find all the skeletons in the closet.
And you'll find the Pokemon pachinko machine or something.
Yes.
Oh my God. The other thing too, Tony mentioned the toys, and it's the reason that, okay, so wrestling figures retain their value because they were only ever made by very specific companies, right? They always had LJN or whoever was making it. Whereas the Ninja Turtles toys don't have much value because they were just handing that license out to everybody.
Mhm.
And I feel like if they would have done a better job of sourcing where they were handing their license of Pokemon toys out, those would be much more, because you can't go to a crane machine without a Pikachu being in there. Pokemon is everywhere,
Oh, yeah.
everywhere. And it's like those toys would have been so much like more valuable and collectible if they had just not handed out to every, Tom, Dick, and Harry on the corner.
Well, what they do now is they target us, like our age group. And they're like, okay, so finally we'll license with Legos. But if you want the first 3 starters, it's like $700.
Yep, $750.
Yeah. Yeah. I
It
mean, they're huge.
Looks
don't
really
get me
cool.
wrong.
It looks really cool, but that's a
lot.
let's think about this kind of purchase.
The Eevee, I think, is $40.
Yes.
No, it's much more.
And then
manageable.
I think there's a Pikachu as well.
But I think maybe it's a product of them going to Netflix for the new show and they have new licensing.
Yeah.
But like it's everywhere now, even more. We bought a bag of Hershey's Kisses, and the first 151 Pokemon are on the wrappers. So you go to take out a Hershey's Kiss and look at what Pokemon you got. So my kids are picking them out like, oh, I want Blastoise, I don't want Jinx, stuff like that. Yeah, I'll dump on Jinx all podcast.
Oh, come on. Jinx isn't so bad. He's not what's the mime? Is it Mime? Is it Mime the Mime?
Mr.
character?
Mime?
Yeah, that's the one you can dump on the most.
He's got soulless eyes. I
Yeah,
will
Dump
say,
on the most racist Pokemon any day.
Something they created him with Grok.
Yeah, Jinx is created with Grok. That's right.
Yeah, I don't want
will
any woke Pokemon in my games.
I will tag on to your franchising and licensing thing that if you do look at some of the old late 90s ads for Pokemon, you'll notice that Pikachu is weirdly absent from a lot of them because they didn't realize what Pokemon was going to be the hit Pokemon with everyone yet. So you'll see like ads with like random Pokemon, like a Rhyhorn just shows up in an old ad. It's like, why is this guy here? It's just like a big bug looking rock with eyes in the front. It's like, that's not appealing to anyone, but they just had like random Pokemon show up in the game or on all these old ads because nothing had been like the Pokemon that everyone knows. Like nowadays you show anyone Pikachu, they know who he is.
Yeah.
They just know. Oh, that's that
100%.
yellow Pokemon. It's Pikachu. It's like showing people Mario. It's like, I know that's Mario. It is
you can
an
argue Pikachu's
icon.
more famous than like Homer Simpson, and that's like crazy, but it's true because like it impacts like internationally. Okay, I missed one thing that aged the worst. So before we steer into me asking you guys about the remasters because I never touched them, one thing that aged the worst is playing Pokemon Yellow and them trying to insert any of the Pikachu sound effects from the TV show into the game.
I
The
thankfully
opening
never played Yellow.
Pikachu is deafening, and then when Pikachu dies in Pokemon Yellow, the Terrifier movies, they could just play that sound effect for an hour and a half and it would be scarier than anything you could show on screen. That is the scariest death noise. So I had never touched Pokemon Yellow, and Pokemon Yellow is pretty much the same. If you've never played Yellow, you basically start with Pikachu. You can now find the starter Pokemon through NPCs in the game, but it's really Pikachu. You can stop and talk to him and he makes cute noises. But anytime a sound effect comes out of Pikachu, just, earplugs. George, you played Yellow. Tony, have you ever played Yellow at all? This is
Nope.
I never owned Yellow. I don't know how I played it because I can't find it.
Yeah, but when I was streaming it, you knew that some NPCs had Squirtle. I don't know, it's just ingrained in your brain.
Maybe I just borrowed it from someone, but I it's not in my Game Boy color. Like I have a little pile of Game Boy games and like it's not there.
Yeah. I never played the remaster. So Tony, you mentioned you recently purchased some remasters. You mentioned a couple of the quality of life stuff, but is it as fun? Does it bring back any of the nostalgia of the originals?
So I do remember I turned it on and I put the music up and I heard that first crisp digitized sound effects from the old Game Boy era. And as soon as I heard the music come on, like I got goosebumps. I got like all the hairs on the end of my arm stood up, and I was playing it and I was sitting next to my wife and I said, look, it's Pokemon. It's so cool. It's like, look how excited. She's like, you're such a dork. You're such a dork. You don't even like Pokemon. Why? I'm like, this is the best one.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm so excited. She's like, why are you playing this? I'm like, because I want to have fun. So and with that, I basically, anytime I catch a new one, I will not do anything with the game until I basically force her to name Pokemon. So I've had her name every single Pokemon I've caught so far.
I like it.
And I'm on like, just finishing up Gym 4.
Yeah. No, if you're like me, then my nicknames in Pokemon Yellow were Rattata was Rat Bastard. Don Callis was Dig Callis, which is a wrestling reference. You won't get Tony. And then
But I
I
love
don't
it.
remember any other ones. What?
And so that's such a good one.
Yeah. And that's why I don't want my hair on my Diglets. George, have you played the remasters at all?
Yeah. So I think the remaster, well, there's 2 remasters. So the first remaster, Leaf Green and Fire Red, I think it just, quality of life aside, which we talked about, it adds another layer to the game for 2 reasons. One, Gen 1 is unique in that the stats were attack, defense, speed, and special, and HP. The problem with that is, you like, let's like Growl would lower attack or Tail Whip will lower defense. You do a move like Amnesia, you're raising your special, you're raising both that offensive and defensive value. So it was overpowered.
Mm-hmm.
In every single game subsequent, special became special attack and special defense.
Yep.
So it really balanced the game better. Also, adding the different types, because at this point, Steel is a type. And
Fairy
Dark
was added.
No, Fairy,
And
I
Dark.
don't think Fairy was in...
I think Fairy's in the Switch version.
Oh, it is?
Playing. Yeah.
Okay. Well, those, like, for example, Charmander's usable in the beginning of the game. Because Charmander can learn whatever the steel attack is. It's like iron,
Like bite
claw.
or something. Or
And-
yeah, like some sort of claw move.
And he can just own the rock Pokemon.
Yeah.
So now
Same with
all of a
Pikachu.
sudden-
Pikachu's completely useless in the beginning of Pokemon
Oh,
Yellow.
yeah. Without that Mew, I don't think you're beating that. You have to level him up to like level 20 to beat Brock, which
Mhm.
was ridiculous. But so I think it breathes in new life that way. Also, afterwards for the Switch, we had a version called Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu or Pokemon Let's Go Eevee,
Yeah, I've read
which is
about those.
just straight up Gen 1. But again, now we're, 8 generations deep, maybe. So we
Yeah.
have all those other different things. But that one is really, those are their own thing as well, because you have the Pokeball Plus attachment, or you can use your Switch Joy-Con, and you're literally throwing Pokeballs at the Pokemon, which is a whole different experience. And I'm not going to say it's better, but it's just so different. I think it's worth playing on its own.
After I played Yellow, it'll be a little bit of a break for me, but at some point I do want to go back and try a remaster and see how it feels. And I'd probably try to go with the one that's the most modern, just to have the biggest difference. I'd probably go like the Switch versions, but
I can recommend the Switch version. It looks better. The graphics look clean, even for a remaster. And I did get it. The reason why I did was because I was like, oh, I don't know if I really want to replay it. I have the game at home. I could just play it or something. I have the old copy somewhere. But then it was, well, there's more to the game after you beat
There is.
the Final Four. It's like, oh, there's like, you get to go to the area from Gen 2. I was like, oh, so there's stuff that I've never seen. I can go and see.
I don't know about that. I don't think Gen 2's in there.
I've heard, I don't know how true, again, not
he heard on the
positive.
playground.
Yeah, no.
Heard
Heard
on
on the
Playground
playground,
that
if you
there's
go to the
like
truck
Gen 2
behind the
Pokemon in the new area or something.
There is an
Maybe it's
endgame
Gen 3.
where literally, I don't remember what they call them, but like there's 151 trainers who suddenly remember that they're a master of like, hey man, I got a level 60 Caterpie. I'm the Caterpie master. And you can only battle a Caterpie versus a Caterpie.
That
Wow.
sounds silly.
Sounds like a
is-
hate crime.
It is the most grindy end game. I did not do it.
Got
But
it.
like, I
For
guess
sure.
if you wanted to somehow get a copy of all of them, literally like every form and stage of evolution and grind them out, you can do it.
Who wants to nominate themselves to go first with their Moltres take, meaning
I'll
their
go.
hottest take about Generation 1 Pokemon?
I'll go for that one. I'll start.
Shield my face.
It's very simple. There is only one gen of Pokemon, and it's
Oh.
Gen 1. There is only 151 Pokemon, and that's it. I don't care what you say. There is no 26-letter Pokemon. That's a bunch of myths and lies. It's the some of the newest Pokemon they call Pokemon, and I say in quotes, call them Pokemon, because they're not. They're just imitations of the 151 originals.
Some people would agree with you.
That's why I've never
Tony,
even played Gen
next to
2 and
me-
on.
Come stand and let's yell at these Pokemon clouds together.
It's
It's
not
my
my
old
hot
man
take.
take.
It's not my hot take, but Gen 2 is the best version of Pokemon.
That is the nuclear take.
No, it's not. That a lot of people will tell you that.
Okay.
I mean,
So then what is
you want me to run with
what is
it?
your Moltres take?
Yeah, I'll run with it. I'll run with it. Gen 2, A, fixes the stats. B, introduces a reasonable amount of Pokemon. So 252 is very trackable. You got a good amount of legendaries. You got a legendary that roams about that you got to go track down, which is pretty neat. I can't get into the best reason because, again, I don't want to spoil it for you, but it does something with the end game that really just blew my mind and I thought was the best. Yeah, it does everything Gen 1 does, but better. It has its own ways to dupe items. It adds a layer of strategy where Pokemon can hold items. It fixes some moves. I can go on and on.
Okay.
But if you want to
Feels like
have
you're
7
copying
Eevees and holding 7 Master Balls, you use the link cable trick in Gen 2.
It sounds like you're copying my X2 hot take.
It does
Just
sound like
coming
it,
out
doesn't it?
like
Yeah. So I hate the Hadouken in Pokemon. No. Go. George, did you have another hot take? Or are you sticking with that one?
Pokemon Yellow kind of fixes my hot take. This is really focused on Red and Blue.
Okay.
I think it's really stupid that the starter Pokemon are not available after you start the game. Because you have to restart the game to get the Pokemon. Or beat on a little sibling to restart the game. Yeah, but then what are you going to do? You're going to trade away your starter and now it's gone? And there's no way to get a Pokemon egg to get the base version.
I see what you mean. No one's going to trade you your Squirtle for their Charmander because you're just going 1 for 1. You're still missing those Pokemon.
Right.
Okay, so you are correct. Without duping, that system sucks. You're right.
or stealing someone else's copy.
Yeah. Well, everything else, you catch a Vulpix, I'll catch a Growlithe. That's great. Please trade. But in hindsight, beat the game and then be like, oh man, you picked Bulbasaur. Here's a Charmander and a Squirtle because you're a Pokemon League champion. Do that, and then you can get all 151 without, ruining someone else's cartridge to get their starting Pokemon.
Okay, my hot take. I feel like I've increased my hotness each time. My Moltres take is that Pokemon Go is the most impactful video game in the Pokemon series and does the most for its legacy. That is insane, just base logic, because the first game creates the Pokemon that start it. But Pokemon Go is the most important Pokemon game ever because it brought a brand new crowd. It brought everyone to a series that was a niche product, right? Yes, we all love the show, and yes, we all love the games. Pokemon Go brought it into the cultural zeitgeist of all ages, all genders. I remember being in Central Park in New York, and it was just packed that summer. That's my Moltres take.
I think without the pandemic, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I was going to say,
but
the pandemic helped that grow.
It helped a lot. It was on the way without it, but I don't know if it grabs everyone without it being like, oh man, I just want to go for a walk. And you could play Pokemon Go and wave at people, right? That helped a lot. Also, fun fact, you could take your Pokemon Go Pokemon and trade them to Pokemon Let's Go, Eevee or Pikachu.
Yeah.
The thing I didn't like about Pokemon Go was 2 years before Pokemon Go came out, there was a game very much like Pokemon Go that existed, made by the same company that makes Pokemon Go. And they're like, we can't get this thing to sell. Nobody wants to do it. It's all about creating hubs and joining teams and growing your team in certain areas to fight other teams. And they're like, well, we'll just slap Pokemon on it. And then and I remember reading about it. I'm like, this is the same game I read about 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, this seems kind of interesting, but I don't live near a city, so it's not going to be really fun for me to play. So I'm not interested. And then Pokemon Go comes out. I'm like, this is the same thing. They just put Pokemon on top of a crappy game they couldn't sell. And now everyone's losing their mind over it. So that's why I disagree with your hot take.
My Moltres take is from a retropolitan point of view. New York City was the perfect storm. And what even talks more about the power of the Pokemon brand is that they came out with Harry Potter Go a couple of years later.
Yeah.
Nobody cared.
No one
And
played it.
Harry Potter, you can argue, has a even more crazy, not crazy, but even more passionate fan base than Pokemon does. And I know like it was second, in the let's use a marketing trick to make a mediocre game seem great. And I'm not saying Pokemon Go is fantastic or anything. I'm just saying its impact was the greatest. But yeah, Harry Potter didn't work. Like it was just that brand of Pokemon, and Pokemon Go came at the right summer, like the right season. Like it just worked.
I wonder if that was sort of an inflection point, because I would argue Pokemon now is more popular than it's ever been. And again, you could look at the merch deals. Like they're finally with Lego, they're with Netflix. There's a Pokemon theme park finally. It almost felt like it was losing momentum over time.
Oh yeah.
Until you get to the time frame around Pokemon Go. It's like the movies were straight to TV. They were of questionable quality. Not that the first ones were bangers, but still.
Yeah.
They didn't cure Pokemon with tears in the new ones?
Not Pokemon, no. Someone else, though.
The last thing about Pokemon Go is sometimes these weird things just catch fire. It's like the idea of walking around and collecting makes perfect sense. How they didn't think about that from the ground up, Tony mentioning it was another game that they just put a new coat of paint on. How did they not understand from the beginning? I don't even remember if Pokemon Go had anything outside of the original 150, but
not at first.
Yeah, I just remember like I was working at the Columbia's football field at the time. I would get in the golf cart and drive down to the boathouse where the tennis courts were because I knew there was a Pokestop there. And then I drive back up when I was at work. I'm going to pop this over to Tony. As we begin to wrap up here, we talked about the use of the franchise. We talked about how has Pokemon been used? Has it been oversaturated? How do you feel like Pokemon has aged from Gen 1 until now?
I can say if they can keep getting new artists to design new Pokemon, it'll never die. It's going to live forever. At this point, it's been around for so long. It's, as George has his kids, they're now into it. It's a whole nother generation. It's gone through our generation, another generation, and then a generation after that is now getting hooked on this franchise. It just keeps coming out with new stuff, draw in kids, and it's just like the perfect storm is, like you said, the trifecta of merchandising, marketing, and entertainment of games, TV show, movies, and like off games like card games and toys and things like that. They just have like an infinite money glitch. It's just if they can keep bringing out games, even when they come out with games like the new AZ, there's people complaining about it. It's this. It doesn't have this. It's not like the regular game. You're trapped in like it doesn't matter. They're going to sell like gangbusters, and they're going to make money on it, and the franchise is just going to grow from there.
Yeah. George, how do you feel like Pokemon has aged?
I think very well. It was a bit slow on the progress, like I mentioned before, maybe around black, like when they first had a sequel, literally Black and White 2, people were going, I don't know, man. Like, what new are you offering to the table at this point? I really think the Legend series are an inflection point where we're transitioning to a new battle system of 3D and actual positioning and movement matters. I think that's going to be carried forward. It appears that that's how Wind and Wave are going to be, which we'll find out, I think, next year. I think it still has momentum. It's going to keep going. And as Tony said, like, we have our attachment to Gen 1. Depending on how old you are, Pokemon sticks with you based on your first entry point. So, like, my kids are looking at Sprigatito is the green cat, and like that's his favorite Pokemon. And
you mean the menu item at Olive Garden? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we had to buy Pokemon Monopoly, and the 4 little pieces are those 3 that generation starters and Pikachu, of course, because
Pikachu's everywhere.
Pikachu's captain of the airship on Pokemon Horizons. Why? I don't know, but it's Pikachu in a captain's hat.
You want to talk about perfect moments in time? Pikachu and the TV show. If they pick any other Pokemon besides Pikachu to go into the show with, everything, so many things with Pokemon have had to be like perfect timing of all these things.
And kudos to Game Freaks for recognizing that and making Pokemon Yellow.
Yeah.
And
they turned that shit out fast. Within a year, Pokemon Yellow was hitting.
And that set out a whole new legacy and thing that they've been doing now, where you get a generation and it's, okay, so you got Gold and Silver, wait for Crystal, or you got Sapphire and Emerald, you're going to get, wait a minute, you're getting Sapphire and Ruby, now you're going to get Emerald. So now you when you don't get a third game in the series, you're like, whoa, we missed one. What are we doing?
I agree with you guys that despite the games not being, I would say that the games themselves are a lot less in the public discourse than they were 10, 20 years ago. I felt like everybody was playing Pokemon Stadium. So many people had touched Pokemon Snap, but the overall aura of Pokemon has never been bigger, right? I remember being at Universal Studios in Osaka, Japan, and yes, they have Nintendo World, but they have so much Pokemon stuff everywhere else. Nintendo's obviously just the publisher of Pokemon. It still belongs to Game Freaks, but there was just random Pikachus for sale in every shop. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is so random. You have a Harry Potter ride, sell me Harry Potter. Nope. Harry Potter Land only was where you could find the Harry Potter stuff, but the whole park is where you could find Pokemon stuff. So I just feel like the aura has never been larger. What do you think is the legacy of Gen 1 Pokemon? And I'll say its legacy was it taught a lot of people that they could enjoy role-playing games. I can imagine quite a few people that maybe Pokemon was their first time playing this type of game, and maybe they went back and looked at a Final Fantasy VII or looked at a Chrono Trigger and said, hey, I kind of want to play something similar to the mechanics of Pokemon. So I'll say its legacy really lies in that. Obviously, there's legacy of the Pokemon, but just for me and its legacy personally, it was really making me love that RPG kind of style of game.
I think it's got a legacy of collaborative multiplayer. You know, that multiplayer, like fighting games existed, you know, Game Boy Gen 1, this is before you'd have LAN parties. So, you know, that competitive, well, you know, maybe GoldenEye, is GoldenEye out at the same time? It's roughly,
GoldenEye's 97, so it comes out a year before Pokemon.
Yeah, but it's not
Red
handheld.
Yeah, but so you have competitive multiplayer, but there weren't a lot of games you'd sit down and go, let's work together. Like, you trade me this Pokemon, you know, let's talk about how we can collect. That wasn't really a thing. And now there's a lot of games where it's like, yeah, man, let's co-op this together. Let's work on this. You can send me this, I'll send you that. Or, you know, help me collect spin metal in Destiny, whatever it is.
Always with the spin metal. I agree. And I think part of that was handhelds, and part of it was thinking about multiplayer gaming on a different level, not just plugging in multiple controllers. I think that's exactly it. It was just such a great entry point, which then evolved into online gaming and then evolved into what it is now. Tony, what do you think the legacy of Gen 1 Pokemon is?
It's hard to describe, but to me, it's almost like this is like the foundation and building blocks of how to make a franchise. Pokemon Gen 1 hit the mobile gaming market like Tetris did when the first Game Boy came out. It was like an incredibly addicting game that all you could think about and play and talk about. And while it didn't draw in the casual players as much, it drew in the core gamers to playing this Game Boy and getting a Game Boy so that they could play this game that wasn't just like the Mario games and all those mobile games were usually shorter and smaller versions of a bigger game. Here's Mario Land, which is Super Mario Brothers or Mario Brothers shortened down to 4 levels or 4 worlds. So it wasn't as small of a game. It was a massive game that you could put hundreds of hours into, as you have. So it was building a legacy of making mobile gaming more like a sit-down game that you're going to play for hours on end instead of just like something I'll play for 30 minutes in the car ride. It's like, I'm going to play this in the car ride. I'm going to play it on the couch. I'm going to play it in the next room. I'm going to play it anywhere I can. Anywhere I can move with this Game Boy, I'm going to be playing it. So it builds a franchise like that of
wherever you
expanding.
have light, but yeah. Wherever
Yes.
you've got a source of light, yeah.
If you've got light
at night, like you couldn't play that shit like you know, in bed at 11 o'clock.
No, you needed the all the Game Boy attachments like Voltron or syncing up to make the magnifying glass and the light.
Your Game Boy had an OnlyFans. Yeah.
I don't think any other franchise has made a confluence of game, show, toys, cards ever as successful as Pokemon has. People have tried, you know, like there were World of Warcraft books and blah, blah, blah. Like no one cared. You know, there were Mass Effect, I think, tried to make a whole lore. Dead Space tried. No one cared.
Mario tried it 3 or 4 times before they got to the movies lately. I mean, there was the old movie. There was the TV show from the 90s and the 80s.
Speaking of mobile gaming, Tony, it's so crazy to think about. So the Game Boy releases in North America in 1989. Pokemon Red and Blue release in 1998. So 10 years after the Game Boy comes out. I don't remember Pokemon Pocket and Color really being very popular. I'm sure people like them, but they weren't a phenomenon like the Game Boy was. And I feel like it's when you get to the Game Boy Advance that you get the second wave
Mhm.
of everybody has a Game Boy. But this thing forced you to pull out your brick or maybe even buy a new Game Boy, buy one of the pockets or buy one of the colors. We've seen a game, for example, we've seen Halo build the Xbox, but that was at launch. We have never seen a game come out this late in a console's life cycle that it made that console relevant again.
Oh yeah, it's rare to see a game come out so late and so far after a system's been like done. Like we're moving on to the next system. It's like, no, I have this banger of a game that's coming out and it's gonna take the world by storm. It's like, no, it can't. But let's get it into the newest systems. Like, no, it's gonna be perfect for this. And it's like you see, look at it now and you're like, yeah, of course it made millions of dollars as a game. It's a huge franchise, obviously. But back then you had to been looking at it going like, I don't know, man. Nobody's really going to want to walk around and get randomly caught up into fights and make their bugs fight each other. And it doesn't seem that interesting. Where's the action? Where's the fun? Where's it? And it didn't matter. It was just that enticing that it drew people in.
Yeah, it was so late in the console. I was actually in my closet hoping I would find it, wondering if I even had the Game Boy anymore. Tears of the Kingdom comes out like 7 years later on the Switch, but we had already had Breath of the Wild. This really is the one time where a game came out so late in a console's life and really just like defibrillated it back to life. Tony, we're going to stop in your bonus level first. It looks nice over there. It looks like you've done some nice decorating. You got the HVAC fixed. Tell us something that we may have missed, if we missed anything about Pokemon in general or Gen 1, and then recommend something that maybe you've played that you think our audience might really get a kick out of.
So we didn't talk at all about your rival. And I used to love naming him something mean, of course, as a kid.
Smell
So-
you later.
Yeah. So he was always like fart or ass or something like that in my game. Because it was like nobody saw it but me. So I could say things like that in the game. It was like I'm a kid and I'm allowed to put a curse word in a game that no one knows about. So that was like that was always fun to see him show up and it's like, it's your rival, fart. I'm like, and I'm laughing because I forgot I named him that 3 weeks ago or
Siblings
something.
are like, what are you laughing at, Tony? Don't worry about it. And then you're giggling in the corner. Okay.
Yeah.
What a rebel. Anything you want to recommend to viewers or listeners?
No, I'm still catching my way through Minna the Howler. Howler.
How?
Howler.
Howler.
It's a very in-depth game and it's every time I look up anything about it, it's like, oh yeah, did you find this huge secret? It's like, no, now I have to go back and go look and see if I can find it. And it just is an interesting game and there's a lot of depth to it. For what looked like a small game, I'm still chugging my way through it.
Got it. George, maybe your decorations aren't as nice as Tony's bonus level, but I appreciate all the plant life. I appreciate there's a lot of oxygen in this room. Give us something you've played recently that you think some other people might dig. And do we miss anything with Pokemon?
Yeah, so I had a second hot take.
Oh no.
And that is, are you familiar with the concept of a Nuzlocke run?
Yes, I am.
It is the best way to play the game. If you play it this way, you can only catch the first Pokemon you see in an area. That's it. If a Pokemon faints, it's dead.
Can't use it ever again.
You get rid of it.
You release it to the wild.
Oof.
Yeah, no, I don't do that. That's not fun. I just put it in the box.
This is like Fire Emblem permadeath stuff.
Yeah. But for someone like me who for the longest time was like, I gotta level up all the Pokemon and I just haven't been finishing one, it's like a breath of fresh air. I'm like, okay. Like I'm playing Fire Red that way and I'm enjoying it so much more. The one problem is I can't keep a ground Pokemon alive. Like Diglett's made of grass, like clippings, and he evaporated on me. I was like, oh no. So my Graveler is like the anchor of the team, but it's making me use Pokemon I wouldn't have otherwise done. It's making me think about how to use them in different ways. I'm tremendously enjoying the game, and I'm so happy, especially on a replay, because essentially, like playing Fire Red is a replay for me. It's just a brand new experience, and I'm really enjoying it.
That's awesome. I think the only thing I would mention about Pokemon is that they really did respect the RPG elements. Fly makes everything so much easier, similar to the airships you get in Final Fantasy. It really took itself seriously as a role-playing game. I know that the Pokemon were cute and they were what was most popular, but Game Freaks themselves just did a phenomenal job of building, like, the mechanics work, the fast travel works, and again on handheld, just everything was amazing. Game I'd recommend. Well, I would recommend this if no one has played it, but go ahead and talk about Balatro. I have been marching my way towards gold staking every Joker. It's my last achievement, and I want to do it before Local Thunk gets around to releasing patch 1.1, which is going to add new Jokers, new decks, everything, which is going to refresh the game. If you've never played Balatro, it's always on sale. It's like $12 for right now on the Switch. It's a roguelike game.
It's
It's
easy to
awesome
play
for
on your
anyone who
phone
hasn't
too.
played it.
I would say grab it on your tablet or your phone.
Heck
It's a
yeah.
great, quick game to play on your phone.
Speaking of roguelike Pokemon games, I would recommend PokeRogue. It is a browser-based game,
Okay.
not licensed, but literally you're going battle to battle, and you know you'll defeat a Pokemon. And it's like, what's your bonus going to be? It's like, do you get attack up for the next 6 battles? Do you get a potion? You know, it's a little hard to like wrap your head around trying to describe it. Just go on your browser and try it. It's a lot of fun.
Okay. This is a good recommendation. And then I'm going to be like knee deep in this like 3 days later and fired from my job. And I'll be like, wow, thanks for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. On that note, I want to say that I had a blast talking about Pokemon with you guys. I was really happy I was able to play Yellow before this because it was really fun to refresh Pokemon. I also still stand with Tony, the original 151. That's it. No more. On
You
that
gotta play
note,
Crystal. You gotta play Crystal on stream.
oh my God.
I'll hold your hand.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you guys for listening, for watching this podcast. We'll be back with a new episode on behalf of Tony, George, and myself. Thank you guys. Take care of yourselves.